My name's Kyra, and I'm joined with
Troy
and Andres.
And today we're going to be doing another Dream Reboot here on Pop Culture Corner. Today we're going to be doing Hercules. We're going to be talking about Hades, Zeus, Phil, Meg, and Hercules, obviously. So we're going to give them 20 seconds for their opening statements, some rebuttals, and then we're just going to discuss for a little bit and then pick our winner.
Perfect.
All right, go ahead and get started.
All right, so our first character, we're doing Zeus, right?
Yes.
Okay, so first character, I picked Patrick Warburton. Now, those of you who do not know who he is, he was Putty on Seinfeld. He also played the Tick in the live-action Tick movie. And I feel like he's got that just gusto about him to like really command the presence as the god of gods, Zeus. And I feel like he's just a big jokester too. Like he's funny. Like the whole scene where Herc picks him up with his finger, he goes, oh, like he just has that perfect amount to him.
Well, my pick for Zeus is none other than Jeff Bridges. You can see him clearly here. He's famous for basically a bunch of roles. He won an Oscar for Crazy Heart, and he's also famous for his role in the Tron saga or franchise in Disney. But since we're focusing here on the Disney version of Hercules, I wanted to pick someone for Zeus that has that charisma. Because this version of Zeus is not the one to be compared with, at least with the one from Liam Neeson in Clash of Titans, which is pretty serious, pretty stern, pretty much let's get the job done. This is Jeff Bridges' charisma for Zeus.
All right, and rebuttal?
Right, but you're talking about charisma, and like, look at that face, like even that smile right there. Like Jeff Bridges is probably just gonna do his voice like this, and you can't understand what he's talking about when he goes in a true Rit voice. You can understand Patrick Warburton. He can talk, and he'll really command the presence. And plus, he's even built pretty big. He's a large man, so he has the stature of a Greek god himself. So he fits the role much more perfectly. Go ahead.
Well, pretty much your rebuttal is about the physicality that your character can bring, but we're talking about the personality that we're bringing to this Zeus. Pretty much Zeus is someone that can govern everyone at the same time be comfortable with everyone. We're talking about the dude specifically. So you cannot say that this guy cannot play the dude.
Okay, so this is cut off now, but I'm not. Yeah. I'm just gonna say this. I'm not arguing with his acting ability. Jeff Bridges is an amazing actor, but I don't think he has the type of carry it is to actually be like the man in charge type of thing. With everything he plays, he's just kind of been, he's not necessarily, he's been the main character, but he doesn't have that in charge feel like a man like Patrick Warburton will have, especially with his deep voice. His deep voice is really what carries it all the way through, and I feel like he really has the acting chops to play a sillier version of Zeus, where I feel like he'll be a little bit too goofy and a little bit too weird with it.
I feel that what you need, especially for this version of the character, is someone that can convey and portray that sense of friendship, that sense of, oh, we're all this, and someone that's legitimately happy about being and concerned about Hercules being on Earth. Your character, Patrick, pretty much, especially in his latest outing, Slemmin' Is Naked in the Netflix series, he's pretty much having the same performance over and over again as a stern, just mute, like neutral character.
But that's what he can do. That's the point of why it's Zeus. All Zeus is just there. He's just happy. He's proud of his boy. He's like, yeah, I can do that. Like he definitely, like if you watch him in Seinfeld when he plays Putty, like he goes crazy. He gets happy. He gets emotional in the character. Yes, part of the joke is that he does have a monotone type voice. But again, as a god figure, as the god of gods, it would fit. But he also, when he breaks that and goes a little bit jokey, you can sense it. Where Jeff Bridges already looks old, he kind of looks a little bit too empowering.
I see your point, but at the same time, we're trying to differentiate from all the other versions of Zeus, and pretty much your version would fit perfectly with any other version of Hercules. But in this Disney version, I feel Jeff Bridges is the one.
All right, so time to judge. Physically, I definitely think Jeff Bridges is Zeus. I love him so much, and I would have to disagree. I definitely think he can play a leading role as well. I think he has a lot of range, but unfortunately, Troy, I'm definitely going to have to go with Jeff Bridges on this one.
That's fine. I didn't say he couldn't lead. I just said he doesn't have that, like...
Tape him up.
Jeff Bridges. All right, good choice.
All right, next we have Phil.
I think next is Phil.
All right, we're moving on to Phil next.
All right. So when trying to recast the iconic Phil that was brought to life by Danny DeVito, I wanted to think of somebody who had the same type of voice and same mannerisms, that kind of high-pitched, annoying little like type of thing. So I went with none other than Danny Woodburn. I know him specifically from Seinfeld. That's where I got a lot of what I feel like he'd be perfect for the part, because again, he is a little person, so he fits the stature right there right away, and his acting definitely speaks for itself with the voice.
My character pick for my actor character for pick is. Can we do that again?
Just keep going.
My actor pick for Phil is pretty simple. Pretty much, you have a character right there who we're going to pretty much expand on his story like we did in Beauty and the Beast with at least Belle's mother and everything like that. So in this movie, we're trying to expand everyone's backstory and motives behind every action that they do in the movie. And I wanted someone who can bring Phil's backstory about training heroes a long way. So I picked Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones.
Peter Dinklage. See, he was going to be my first original choice, and because I do like him very much for this role. He's a great actor. He's established, but I don't think he'd be right for Phil because of, one, the fact that Phil's a little bit of a dimwit. He's just kind of like a gym jock. He's a coach. That's all he knows how to do is coach these heroes. Where Peter Dinklage, he's a little bit too distinguished for that type of thing. A lot of his roles have been more of the serious, more of the dramatic. And again, when he is an asshole, like in Game of Thrones, trying to be that snarky, he's literally being an asshole. He's not trying to like better somebody through being an asshole. He's literally just being an ass.
Well, pretty much, just to continue on Peter Dinklage, he has demonstrated time and time again that he can do everything. Not only on Game of Thrones, he's also played a lovable asshole in a way in the film Pixels. So you could also have that. Besides, Peter Dinklage is the one that we have the technology right now. The reason we're doing this reboot is because we have that technology to bring motion capture or actually have makeup on set so we can add Phil on it. So pretty much, I mean, your pick could be awesome for a voiceover thing, but Peter Dinklage is for the acting.
But he's not really, he wasn't really even lovable in Pixels. And I don't know anybody who really loved Pixels, but he wasn't lovable. He was just an asshole. Like, Danny Woodburn can actually be a little bit more lovable. People just love who Peter Dinklage is. I feel like he can bring a love to the actual character himself, as opposed to just being, bombarded by just the fact that it is Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. He'll definitely put asses in the seats if you're going to put him in there, but I don't feel like he's the right pick. I really feel like he doesn't bring the kind of, the nasally voice kind of fits perfectly alongside with what Danny DeVito brought to it, and he has that little bit of an annoyance, and he can do the freak out a little bit better. I can buy him freaking out. The only time I've seen Peter Dinklage freak out was in Elf, when he charges across the table and tackles Will Ferrell. That's probably the only part I've seen him freak out on. And again, that was just angry. He can actually sit in your corner. I can imagine him sitting in your corner eating popcorn, woo woo woo, type of deal. I really feel like he fits it just a little bit better.
Well, my rebuttal is going to be pretty short in the fact that you shouldn't only judge an actor on what they've done. You should judge them. You also should give them the opportunity to actually expand and do whatever they want in the role. Peter Dinklage hasn't won several Emmys and has been nominated for several awards just for that simple role of Game of Thrones. He has range, and that's what he brings for Phil. Again, I feel that his personality, his gravitas as an actor is what we need to bring for this version of Hercules, and not just a voice actor.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and judge. Physically, Troy, your pick is amazing. I would have to disagree. I think he has a lot of range. I've seen him in comedic. I can see him in a loving role if you've ever seen The Angriest Man in Brooklyn. He did amazing. Physically, I think he's great, but I'm going to have to agree with Andres' main point, which I thought really stuck with me, is that Disney's working really hard to go deeper into every character, and I definitely think Peter can go further into the darker past of Phil. So I'm going to have to say Andres the winner. So we're moving on to our third character, and that is going to be Meg.
All right. So my pick for Meg, she's going to be doing a little bit more of the singing in my movie. And it's going to be somewhat of a musical, but she's going to be one of the few characters that actually sings in it, and someone who actually has that damsel in distress a little bit feel, but at the same time is very sassy. And that's what I was going for, was the sassy, standoffish, who can sing. And Emma Stone, you can definitely see, just has her singing chops pulled out with La La Land. I feel like she has that sass and everything that you can bring to the table.
All right.
Well, for my version of Hercules is also a musical, and since pretty much Meg has only one musical number, this is the area where I wanted an actress that can pretty much bring that sense of not wanting to be with someone and actually having to fight those feelings for that character, in this case Hercules. So I brought Mila Kunis to the table.
See, I think, like again, like you're saying, they're fighting those instincts, and Emma Stone plays that in almost everything that she does. Almost everything that she does, we have seen her not be like attracted to the guy right away. Like you got to kind of work for it, and plus she's got a little bit of that sassiness to her that's also extremely lovable. Mila Kunis does too. Mila Kunis is a great choice. I don't disagree that she would make a good Meg, but I feel like again, if we're gonna go off of like past performances, we just saw that she can sing. And she can knock it out of the park and do very well with choreography, very well with singing. And if they're going to expand it more, there may be even more songs with it, like we were saying before. So I feel like Emma Stone is a little bit better of a pick for that. Plus, she kind of, like, she literally has that, like, physical demeanor of Meg. Like, she looks a little bit like she could be a little bit weaker, but at the same time sassy, like a woman who can hold her own. And I feel like I really like how she would play up against Mila Kunis, because Mila Kunis, again, is just a little bit too... You can cut me off at any time. Like, it's an open debate at this point.
Well, pretty much what happens with Mila Kunis is you want someone who can be the co-lead to your Hercules. You want someone who can be that person that, you know, brings that sense of character. And I'm pretty sure that Emma Stone would be a great pick as well. But at the same time, we're talking about the live-action universe of Disney, and Emma Stone is already doing Cruella de Vil. So do you really want to cross over those two universes? She's already signed on for that. So yes, in a way, if we're expanding the history, if we're adding more songs like we did in Beauty and the Beast, Mila Kunis, yes, she doesn't have the singing chops, but neither did Emma Watson for Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, a singing coach and a little bit of autotune could help in this case. But Emma Stone, in your case, could probably overpower or steal every scene that Hercules is in, and that's not the name of the movie.
I don't necessarily think she can. She definitely is a good supporting character, but she draws a lot of attention, but she's a good supporting character. And I know, like, and we're talking about dream reboots here. This is just what we would like to see happen. Doesn't matter what she's going to play. If she's going to be Cruella de Vil, that's fine. She can do that. I don't feel like that should have any argument here because of the fact that this is our dream reboots, and I really feel like Emma Stone works perfectly for that. And again, even if she's going to play Cruella de Vil, Meg can be seen as somewhat of a villainous character. She has evil intentions at the beginning, and broke one of the sticks. I can see, Mila Kunis has already played like an evil type character, like more of that damsel in distress type of thing with the with Return to Oz or whatever that Wizard of Oz movie was. So we saw her be able to do it, and again, she's a fine choice. But I feel like Emma can really actually bring that supporting character. Like, just as you were saying, I don't think she's that overpowering, especially when we get to our Herc picks. I don't think she'll be able to overpower either of our picks, to be honest with you.
Well, pretty much to close it off, she's not just bouncing off with Hercules, she's also bouncing off with another main character, Hades. You need to have someone that can pretty much take over that sense of belonging and the beginning of, I can do this thing and you do this because I trust you. Thing with Meg. She proved herself in Black Swan. First of all, that villainous aspect of her and the lovable part in Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake. She can play those parts about trying to fall for someone at the same time standing her ground. Emma Stone would be great, but I feel Mila Kunis could bring something else to that character that Emma Stone we pretty much seen already.
All right, so I'm gonna have one point here. I don't think she has any Meg demeanor at all whatsoever. However, I think your argument was slightly better. As much as I love Mila and I think visually she's perfect, not perfect, but of the two, she's much better. So yeah, Troy, I'm gonna give this one to you.
On the board, all right. There we go.
I'm sorry, babe.
I know, that was actually really hard. So now we're moving on to our next character, which is gonna be Hades. So Troy, start us off.
Hades. This was a very fun pick for me. It took me a little bit, he was probably the quickest one I had to cast. And I feel like it's perfect with the demeanor of, I can't remember his name right now. Willem Dafoe. We've seen him play an amazing villain with the Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. And we've also seen him just play like kind of that asshole, dickish kind of cop in Boondock Saints. Like and he's proven himself time and time again.
For my Hades pick, I wanted someone that could be villainous because that's the main purpose of the character. He's the villain of the piece. But at the same time, someone that you're not afraid to laugh at because he has some comedic moments in the movie. So I wanted to pick someone that can fit that role, and I pretty much just thought of Woody Harrelson.
See, I like Woody Harrelson because, again, I like the fact that Woody Harrelson already has that comedic aspect to him. But if we're going off based off what we've already been talking about, breaking up into something that they haven't touched before, Willem Dafoe hasn't dove too far into comedy, which I think will be funnier when he actually can break out and make you laugh and be a little bit of a joke. And even, he has that face, too, to where you are afraid to laugh at him. You're afraid to laugh at a villain. That is a very cool aspect that I feel like Disney can bring into a movie when you're afraid to laugh at it. It's like, that's funny, but at the same time, that face and what he can do is just destroy you, and that's all he wants to do. And plus, like the scenes where Hades just throwing these monsters at Herc, and he's going through it, and he's just freaking out, and he freaks out on Pain and Panic. I can see a much scarier and better freak out from Willem Dafoe than I can with Woody Harrelson.
The problem that I see with Willem Dafoe is that he could definitely bring the villainous aspect, that anger, that rage that Hades has, but I don't see him being that. Let's face it, Hades is also a charismatic character. He's one of the main characters that you also fall in love with, even though he's a villain. Mm-hmm. So even though Willem Dafoe, yes, he has those eyes that he can communicate anger, rage, or even hatred to someone, I don't think he can convey to, especially when he communicates to Panic and
Pain and Panic.
Pain and Panic. That sense is just gonna bring up that villainous aspect. But I think that Woody Harrelson, he's someone that, besides communicating very well with his eyes, we have to remember that Hades pretty much manages his head with his emotions. He doesn't say very much with his words in a way. He can pretty much say anything with the fire. And also, yes, Woody Harrelson has the comedic chops, but if you've seen the latest War of the Planet of the Apes trailer, he plays the villain in that. And just the expressions, Woody Harrelson doesn't say barely nothing in that trailer. And just his expressions just tell you that he means it, and that's what Hades should bring to
But again, all we've seen out of Woody Harrelson from that aspect is the trailer. So we don't know, and again, the movie looks amazing. I can't wait for it. But Willem Dafoe can be very charismatic. Like, if you've seen in Boondock Saints, like, he literally he commands the room, he commands that police station. He literally has that presence, that gravitas, like, I'm in the room, I'm most important. And when you, like that mirror scene, when he's talking to himself in the mirror as Green Goblin, the Green Goblin side and the Willem Dafoe side, he's terrified of himself, but yet so intrigued. Like, his eyes alone too is literally just almost hypnotizing with how much he really just can overact it. And I feel like overacting for Hades would be a much better step. And I feel like, go ahead.
One thing that you have to take into consideration for this is also a Disney movie. Pretty much, in my opinion, if kids see a Willem Dafoe Hades, they're going to be more scared than pretty much anything in regards to the movie. You have to find a Hades that can be someone that you hate, but at the same time you hate to love. Oh. That's just my take. I feel that your Hades could be a very well Hades for a more grounded and realistic version of Hercules. But if we're going the Disney route, which is the one we're going for, the music and everything, Woody Harrelson should be the pick.
All right, so this was really hard. I think you both made some great points. I think Harrelson definitely has a lot more range, but I'm actually intrigued to see what Dafoe can bring to the table. I think he's a really great actor emotionally. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say Troy is the winner here. I definitely agree. He can bring so much power that Hades needs to the table, and we don't always have to have the lighter side to the Disney. It could be a little darker. Last but definitely not least, the most important character here, Hercules.
Okay. My pick, I will admit, is a long shot. I sat down with a group of my friends and actually tried to think about who would be perfect to play Hercules. You got him a little bit in that charismatic demeanor. He can really carry a film, and he can get people focused on him. And of course, Hercules is a big guy. He's a Greek god. And who bigger than John Cena?
He's a demigod. Slight correction, he's a demigod, not a god.
He earned his god status at the end of the movie.
I mean, technically, but he's a demigod.
For my choice of Hercules, I'm going to go a more natural and, if someone can say, conservative route compared to John Cena. But I just want someone that I'm going again, this charisma. He has proven himself in a leading role in The Lone Ranger. He played also the villain in a way in The Social Network. But I'm going to go with Armie Hammer.
See, you want charismatic. This man has been the face of wrestling for years. He definitely can play, and he's literally a face. What that is, the hero of everything. People love John Cena, and we've seen his acting chops in the movies he's been in. With that movie with Amy Schumer, it was great. He's funny. He can bring that comedic role, and plus to see him kind of bumbling around at the beginning. Like, we're not casting young Herc here. This is definitely old Herc. He's bumbling around in the beginning, especially seeing a big guy kind of act like a doofus in training. That's funny to see, and it works a little bit well. And older Herc doesn't really sing. It's mostly younger Herc that has the big power part of the song. He's going to have it again there, but I feel like that can go in a montage. So he doesn't necessarily need to be the one singing. And he definitely can carry a crowd. People love John Cena's face, and he's already been proven that he's funny, and giving him more and actually a leading role, I feel like will actually be very beneficial.
One thing that you have to take into consideration is that this is the main character of your piece. This is someone that's going to be on the poster. So first of all, you have to think of how the marketing is going to work for this movie. People are going to think that this version of Hercules, this reboot of Hercules, is a joke, especially if you have John Cena. Yes, he can be charismatic. Yes, he can be a wrestler turned actor. But that's not going to be. It's not going to be a movie taken as seriously if you have someone like Armie Hammer and the leading role. Also, seeing that this is our last pick, John Cena is going to be pretty much nothing. He's gonna be left knocked out if you put him against Emma Stone, a Oscar-winning actress. He's not gonna have anything to do with that. He's basically gonna be like a child actor at that point.
I feel like you're underestimating the power of what John Cena's acting, because literally wrestling is all. I broke another one. Wrestling is all acting. That's all they do is sit there and act, and he's literally the face of it. He can command a crowd, and he commands he has a following within himself. I understand the point that you may think it's a joke. When you see John Cena on a poster as a leading character, it could be thought of as a joke. But again, we all thought the same thing when The Rock started being an actor.
But
when The Rock first started, it was like, oh my God, it's a wrestler. He's going to be a joke.
One thing you have to take into consideration is the fact that The Rock had a certain amount of years to build up to that moment where he could be.
Certain amount of years? He's been the face of the face.
But how many people do you think will take him seriously? Now The Rock has had, yes, he began with the Scorpion King, but he began in a supporting role.
He was starting in supporting roles. He started in supporting roles with Amy Schumer's movie. He was in a very little brief part in Daddy's Home at the very end of that. He just has that gravitas as a huge, big guy who works perfectly.
One thing, my last thing about this is, this is going to be a movie that's going to be heavily based on this character. And you want someone, besides being charismatic, besides being the lead face of a wrestling match or a wrestling world or anything, you want someone who can convey the emotions that Herc is feeling. This is a character that pretty much he thinks that his parents left him, that his parents don't want it, and he's looking for himself. Mm-hmm. He's searching for that place in his heart, in his world. He feels like he doesn't belong.
All right, we're going to have to cut you off. I'm sorry, guys. This was a very heated debate. I just want to say, first of all, before I start the segment, I hope I don't hurt your feelings at all to anybody at this table, but I do have to agree, this would be considered a joke. For someone, especially the crowd that it's trying to market, we've grown up on this. It's so important that we really hit the mark on who's going to be the best Hercules. Wrestling is not the same thing as acting, and by far the biggest role I've ever seen him in was the Fred movies on Nickelodeon, which was a joke. So, unfortunately, I don't think he's there experience-wise, so I'm going to have to say Armie Hammer. All right. So it looks like that was our tiebreaker, and Andres won. I think overall, though, we have some really great picks here. So, yeah, that's it for us here at Pop Culture Corner.
Here's our Hercast.
All right.
There we go, guys.
We're signing off now.
Coming to theaters 2022.